Yo, this is Nova Trifecta. I am Jimmy Fedora, aka Alias.
What up, Mac Negro? What's good?
What's up, Kendall Troy?
And we are back full functioning for the first time in quite some time.
It's been quite some time.
Well, Kendall talked about, what he's been the last podcast. For the people shy, let them know what you've been up to.
I have been up to being rejected on repeat here, seemed to be.
Rejected on repeat.
Went for a promotion at my job, didn't get it. Expected to get it. Expected to go to day shift, didn't get that either. So it looked like things not been going in my favor here the last couple of weeks, but it's all good. It'll all turn around and do.
But it's just life, you know what I mean? Sometimes shit just fucked up.
Everything will be set, right?
Everything will be everything. What about you, Kendall? What's going on with you?
Not much, man. Just riding on this 17-hour shift from work. I still need to lay down because I still got to go do about 8 more in roughly 6 hours. Hey, you see this? That's what this family. That's when you have all these right here. When you have all that, that's what happens right there.
I don't see how in the world you work like that, man. I can't stand going to work 8 hours. So I don't.
Well, I've said it before, man. When I used to swap that card and beg and pray to Jesus that it didn't decline when I had a buggy full of groceries to feed my babies. Sometimes when it gets me down real hard, I have to think about it, man.
I get it. I get it. You're a family man. You got to think like that. I get it.
You got to. You got to.
I feel you on that, buddy. All right, well, let's get it.
What about you, Jimmy?
You know what I mean? I've been making it do what it do. Not just spending time with Isaac, making it do what it do, making it happen. You got to make it do what it does, because if you don't, then everything will be undone. But
hey, I heard you might be raising the next Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh yeah, he out there hitting home runs.
That boy hit a little home run the other day.
Putting work in, being a great outfield as well. He's growing into the game of which I know nothing about.
Soon as we get him on that football field, that's gonna be the good.
That's where it's at.
Most definitely. Other than that, I've just been doing music. I do have a new music video out called Grind Time, featuring Grip and featuring Vader. That's going crazy right now. I'm really excited
fire.
about that.
Man,
I'm gonna pull up with the fam. I'm gonna pull up with the pull up.
Yeah.
The video off the chain. I'd watched it. I don't know how many times.
It's going crazy.
Great video.
All right, well, let's get into some things. The first topic we're going to talk about is the NFL draft. A lot of speculation about Mac going 3, whether he would go or not. We all knew the first pick, it was going to be Trevor Lawrence. But what
much need the second pick?
You said what now?
I said you pretty much need a second pick too, kind of.
Yeah, you knew Zach Wilson, but when we got to the third pick, how shocked were you, Kendall, that they took Trey Lance?
Man, I was real shocked. I was very, very shocked, because a man that has been a stud, that has went toe to toe with Trevor Lawrence from the time he was in high school till this moment, and will continue to do it in the NFL. And Justin Fields was still on the draft board, and I don't know how in the world. I know they say he had epilepsy. I don't get everything that they said. I don't see how his draft stock fell when you watch the things he done in high school. Then he put it on the field. He was put in a nasty situation at the University of Georgia, made a business decision, got out of there, went to Ohio State, and absolutely balled. I mean, he balled out. And I don't understand why you would take somebody like Trey Lance, who they're hoping can translate to the NFL and be what they think he can, over somebody like Justin Fields. If that's the top quarterback you want, if you didn't want the pure pocket passer, you wanted somebody that was going to use legs as well as an arm. I don't understand it. Don't understand it.
To me, they took a project. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I get the measure. And I think they put too much stock into these pro days. Like, they forget about the tape. You know what I mean? Can the kid play? Can he process
Yeah.
information at accelerated rate? You know what I mean? Just because you got the biggest arm or you run the fastest or you run the 4-4 and all this other shit doesn't mean that you can play. Turn on the tape. And when you turn on the tape, Justin Fields can play. You know what I mean? I mean, not to take nothing away from you know, Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, but we've seen these guys perform at the highest level. So I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely see.
The thing that's crazy to me, and I just got through talking about it with somebody at my gym, is that I have never in my life been the draft guy. Like, I've never been infatuated with the draft. I've never been, because you just don't know. You just don't know but whose game is gonna completely translate to the next level, who's gonna be a star. I've never understood why the first round draft picks get so much, guaranteed money and everything, because you just don't know how somebody's game is going to translate, especially when they're a quarterback. You just don't know.
I mean, I think it kind of goes back to how we get so excited watching our college of choice spring game. It's really vanilla. There's nothing going to be going on. We don't even know what's going to happen in the fall at that spring game. This country, the number one sport has got to be, it's football. And we love football. We talk, especially here in the South, we're talking football 24/7. So it's easy to get excited about spring games, about the draft. I mean, I just, if you're a big NFL fan, I really like the draft. Like, I mean, it's made, I think they've done a good job of making it into an event now, the first round being a prime time event, breaking it down in a couple days.
I have never in my life been into the draft. I think the 1 year that I was kind of into it was the year Cam Newton came out, 2011. I think I was into it that year. Other than that, I've never been big into it, because to me it seems.
Well, you're an Auburn fan too, Shad. You don't have a whole lot to be excited about. I get that.
This is true, because I was sifting.
Our guys go in the draft now. We
sifting,
always done well as far as NFL guys.
But you know what? I was sifting through the first couple of rounds, and just correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see no Auburn players. Now, I could be wrong.
I think there was one in the third round, maybe third round. It was the real speedy wide receiver that's got world-class speed. Is it Anthony Shorts? Is that the name? I think is it
unforgettable.
I think Anthony Shorts went somewhere in like the third or fourth round. That was the first Auburn player taken.
I figured that boy Seth Williams would have got drafted.
Usually Auburn does pretty well with NFL players and stuff like that. Alabama just started the way y'all started hitting.
No, actually, we run this.
Yeah. No. Y'all just started the way y'all guys was translating for real into the league.
Not really. But we got
it is this generation, this decade. Y'all just really kind of started translating.
That's when we kind of started winning in 2009. So this decade will be accurate.
Before then, y'all was getting smacked around by us.
So Jimmy Fedora, what do you think about the offensive lineman that Detroit selected right there with y'all's top 10 pick?
I'm not mad at that because our quarterback is serviceable. We could get some more skill guys, maybe in the free agency or later in this, later rounds in the draft. I'm not mad at that, because if you build a strong offensive line, then you can get a running game going. You get a running game going, you got a serviceable quarterback.
Because they got a stud up there at running back, DeAndre Swift, that they got from Georgia. So I thought it was a good pick. I thought it was. I wouldn't have been mad if the Cowboys would have took him. If he'd have been there. He's good.
Taking an offensive lineman in the is always a good thing, because you're gonna get your money's worth off of offensive linemen, because they're gonna produce more times than not. You know what I mean? So I'm happy with our pick. What about y'all pick? I mean, I see what happened with y'all.
Well, let's go back to
the Dallas Cowboys being that.
Yeah, so I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. Rashad is too. So we absolutely had the worst defense in the league last year. People could throw on us. If people was running on us, it was horrible. That Mike Nolan defense was trash. We got rid of Mike Nolan. We bring in Dan Quinn. Now, Dan Quinn, it's time for you to do what you need to do. and draft us some players, big Mike McCarthy. And then, so we needed help in the secondary. We were hurting in the secondary. Our best defensive back was Trayvon Diggs. So we needed help. A rookie. He was the leading, he was the guy, a rookie. And he even wasn't doing that great. So we're looking at, there was 2 stud defensive backs coming into this draft that we had our eye on. J.C. Horn, son of Joe Horn, Patrick Surtain Jr., son of Patrick Surtain Sr. And, those were the 2 guys that I wanted to see. I really wanted Surtain. And I felt like after the season, since the season's been over with, I knew where we were going to be picking. I felt like we could get Patrick Surtain. I really wasn't huge on J.C. Horn, maybe because I'm a little biased being a Bama fan. I saw more film on Surtain, but nonetheless, J.C. Horn, awesome stud, is going to do great things. We knew that the Carolina Panthers was going to take a defensive back. It looked like because J.C. Horn was from South Carolina, playing his ball in South Carolina, and the Carolina Panthers, that was kind of a connection. Felt like going into the draft, that's who they were going to take. That's the guy they wanted. Okay, still on the table, we're getting Surtain. And if them dadgum Broncos, who I got a little nervous, but I didn't get that nervous because they got Bridgewater. So that kind of like, you don't go after Bridgewater and then say, well, I'm going to get a quarterback. In my mind,
unless it's Aaron Rodgers. But
unless it's Aaron Rodgers, that's a question mark. As soon as the pick was, as soon as they called out Patrick Surtain, Denver Broncos select Pat, I screamed. I screamed because they got good DBs. They signed a couple DBs and I feel like they just stole him from us, man. Well, I was in shock. I was
that's a great pick for them. Yeah. I wouldn't expect them to take them either. They kind of stole them away from y'all. Yeah. And that kind of put you guys in the bind, with y'all with the next pick, to be honest with you. And that's why y'all traded back.
Yeah, that's why we traded with the Eagles, which I look, people are there's a lot of people that got upset because we traded within the division so they could get a weapon in Devontae Smith. But here's my thing. When we traded back, we were going to take Parsons at that, but it was Michael Parsons. That's who we were going to take at that point. He was still going to be on the board. So we got 2 third-round picks by trading up with them, which made we got to pick 5 top 100 players coming into this year. Yeah. That made us 5 picks in the first 100 picks, which we needed that. We needed that bad. So, and Devontae Smith going to the Eagles, I'm happy for him because he's going to be with Jalen Hurts. But him going to the Giants would have been more of a problem. And the Giants are in our division. So they done that so he wouldn't go to the Giants because the Giants have got a lot of weapons and he would have just added to the arsenal. Now he's going to go to the Eagles. It would be a whole lot easier to contain him at the Eagles than it would be on the Giants. So I understand them trading that. And we get a couple of the 3rd-round picks, like I say. And to be honest, I'm not mad at the pick. I wanted the defensive back. Don't get me wrong. I wanted Patrick Surtain. That's who I thought would have made immediate impact, the lockdown corner, because if you don't know by now, guys, you've got to have good corners because wide receivers and quarterbacks are balling out right now.
And so it's plentiful. It's plentiful.
Yeah. So we got the number 1 linebacker in the draft with Michael Parsons, absolute freak. He's gonna be good for us. He's gonna, if he can, there might be a little maturity issue there that they're kind of talking about, but you can say that about every one of those young men. They're not fully, they're still in college. I hate when people say that because those analysts that are 30 and that are 50 and 60-year-olds, you think about when you were in college, you wasn't mature. Come on. I hate when they say that about that. I think his game's going to do well. I think he'll be a day 1 starter. And like I said, we were horrible. You can't do no worse than the clowns we had running around trying to tackle last year.
It was pretty bad last season.
I agree.
The
Speak to
pick that made me mad. I don't mean to cut you off. The pick that made me mad that I didn't understand was our second round pick, and I didn't understand taking Kelvin James from the University of Kentucky over Asante Samuel Jr. That's the pick that I kind of got aggravated at.
because y'all need DBs. So
We needed DBs, and if you'll go back, I kind of done my homework on Kelvin James. I think he's going to be all right. He was a 4-star, committed to LSU, was supposed to be part of that stud defensive backfield that they've had the past 2 or 3 years. Got into it with some teammates, was dismissed, went up to Kentucky, had to sit out the whole 2019 season, only played 9 ball games last year, got 4 picks, had a ton of tackles, great speed, and after 9 ball games, he shut it down and said that he was just going to work on the draft. He's going to be okay. He'll be okay, but I was really wanting Asante Samuel Jr. though, but it's still we'll see how it goes. You know, we did get a defensive back. We got a really good defensive back in that 3rd round, that Nashawn Wright.
yeah.
If his game can translate the way Dan Quinn's talking about him being, that's going to be a really good pick. The guy's 6'4", 183. He does need to gain a little bit of weight, but he's a 6'4" corner, 183, and runs a 4.4. Super freaky athletic. Had no offers coming out of high school. Goes the JUCO route. Actually played for that Laney College that was on last season's Last Chance U.
Okay.
Played there for a couple years. Oregon State called him, gave him an offer. He goes up there. He, wreaked havoc in the Pac-12. And Dan Quinn is on record saying that he could be the next Richard Sherman. That's how he sees, and that he fits his scheme perfectly. So,
Great wrap up on Dallas, the Dallas draft by Kendall.
Fantastic. That was a fantastic.
It is homework. So if you had any questions about the Dallas draft, that was it.
That was it.
Great job. I did want to touch before we left the draft on some of these reunions that we seeing, particularly in the first round.
It's bizarre how many it was.
So let's get into a couple of them. You got Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. If you don't know, they both playing for the Bengals now, and they played together at LSU. You also have Jalen Waddle and Tua Tagovailoa. They both playing together in Miami.
That's not his name.
Well, we're going – I could be like Rick Ross. Tua Tagovailoa. If you haven't seen that video, you need to go look it up because it's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. And then you got Devontae Smith going to the Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Landon Dickinson.
Yes, sir.
How bizarre is that?
Yeah.
Also, not to leave this out, we got Trevor Lawrence playing with Travis Etienne, in Jacksonville. So,
and possibly throwing the ball to Tim Tebow as a tight end.
Exactly. Does that speak to the talent level at some of these schools? Is this just a coincidence, or what do you guys think? What do you think about this shot?
It probably. I doubt whether it's a coincidence or not. I think calls were being made and moves with chess was being played. Before those picks. I think probably before all of them. Because those are all pretty good picks and everything like that. So I don't think it's a coincidence, but it is crazy that it ended up happening like that. So at least you got some familiarity.
I don't have it in front of me.
Where maybe they can be comfortable and that can help them out.
I don't have it in front of me, but you pick whoever's watching this, you guys too, go look up the draft selection from the offenses that was on the field at the LSU and Bama game a couple years ago, and go look at how many first rounders, how much talent. We wonder why it was like 47 to 45. There were so many first round. You had Joe Burrow overall number 1. You had Waddle and Jamar Chase, and I believe Jerry Jeudy, all top 5 picks. You had Henry Ruggs. You had a backup in Mac Jones. You had Najee, that was a first rounder. You had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that was a first rounder. That was so much first round talent on one football field that it was something special to see. Like, you should go look it up. I don't, like I say, I can't remember all the picks, but I don't. I'm like you, Rashad. There's no coincidence. They saw what these young men did in college. Etienne, Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, national titles. They got a national title. They work great together. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow absolutely set the world on fire. I mean, given the opportunity, Jalen and Devontae could have done some more stuff.
There's something about that chemistry, having that chemistry. Not only having that chemistry on the field, but having it off the field and having some familiarity when you get there. These are still children. They look like grown men and they play like grown men, but they're kids, man. These are kids. And it's something to be said about them going there and seeing a familiar face and things like that and having that chemistry on and off the field. So I think it's a good thing that it happened like that, but it's crazy that many happened.
Yeah. Exactly. And congratulations to all the kids, getting to see their dreams come through.
Yeah.
Whether it's the first round to the 7th round. Yeah. You just got to keep grinding because this is just the beginning, to be honest with you. I mean, just because you got drafted, the work don't stop. So shout out
it's only just begun.
It's only just begun. And shout out to all the kids, especially the kids from Bama, because we're a little bit biased over here. So but yeah, shout out to all the kids.
War Eagle.
Yeah, man. Y'all
running back, you wide receiver, you QB,
QBU. You know what I'm saying? They say
line, you.
They say our quarterback's trash, huh? But we're gonna have 4-star ones next year.
Yeah.
But okay. Let's go on to the next topic. Let's talk about. We're a week late talking about this movie, but we are going to talk about it today because we do what we want to do at Nova Trifecta. We're gonna talk about Mortal Kombat.
That boy Sub-Zero was no joke. He was not to be played with in that movie.
Let's elaborate. What did you think? Let's start with Rashad.
I thought that it was interesting. It's definitely a bizarre movie to give a breakdown or a review about because I don't think the story was great. I don't think that the acting was great. I don't think it was a very interesting or intriguing script. But all that said, I had an absolute blast watching it. So it's bizarre to break it down because all of the things I just named seem like deal breakers for a movie. If you tell me that the plot's not good, the acting's not good, and the story isn't good, I'm gonna say I don't want to watch that movie. But when I watched Mortal Kombat, when I watched it, I don't remember one time while I was watching that movie not having a good time. I had a good time the whole time I was watching. It's one of those guilty pleasure type things where it's like, it's no really artistic value to it. I'm not getting that kind of fulfillment from it. But if we're just going on an entertainment standpoint, then I'm extremely entertained. Kano carried the first half of the movie, and then they went into Mortal Kombat mode in the second half of the movie, and I thought it delivered. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it delivered when it comes to just entertaining the crowd. I thought it done that. It's one of the most successful movies in the pandemic era that we've been in. I think, I think it made like maybe 22 mil that opening weekend. Now if it wasn't a pandemic, then it would, be expected to
make a lot of people watch it on HBO Max too. A ton of people watch it. So you kind of
all that's due to the pandemic.
You can't get wrapped up in box office numbers nowadays.
Yeah,
coming through a streaming service. So I mean, it was breaking the streaming service at one point. It was hard to watch.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if it wasn't a pandemic, then it would be expected to do more than that because you wouldn't have the simultaneous releases with streaming services and things like that. But since you've got that, then it done well. It done well. One of the most successful ones in the pandemic era. I think it was trending the whole day, and that's rare for it to trend all day. I think it trended into the night. So that was big, and I think it's a sequel coming. Got my boy Johnny Cage coming. We got to see who's going to play him. I vote Ryan Reynolds, but I think he's probably too big for that role right now. But look, I had a good time watching the movie. Yeah, Storyline, not that interesting. Acting, I have no standout performances other than Kano. So yeah, usually.
See, that's where we disagree. But Kim, what do you think about it?
Oh, you got Sub-Zero.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page. Like, was the storyline great? No. Was the acting great? Not really. Subpar acting, other than Kano and to me Sub-Zero. Not the greatest, but it was fun. I don't know if it was nostalgia. I don't think it was, because those action scenes were just top notch. Those fight scenes were amazing. Me and my youngest daughter, Cambry, we watched it twice and started watching it a third time that Friday. It was fun. Me and her had a blast watching it. It wasn't, like I said, the acting was not that great other than two characters, and the storyline wasn't that good. But those fight scenes and action scenes were raw and awesome, man.
Well, I mean, Sub-Zero, even acting wise, we didn't do nothing special there when it come to Sub-Zero and acting.
No, he didn't have to act much. So
he didn't have to act much, man. He was
off the chain as far as his action sequences. As far as his action sequences, him and Scorpion was off the chain. It wasn't a lot of acting going on there, I didn't think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of acting, delivering action scenes as well.
Well, it is. It is.
They said he was moving so fast on set they had to tell him to slow down during the action scenes. But what I thought about the movie, I thought Sub-Zero was legendary. I thought they underused.
I didn't see legendary.
I thought Sub-Zero was legendary. I thought they underused Liu Kang. They depowered him, him.
Yeah,
they underused, and that's my favorite character. That's my boy. So
yeah, they
did underuse him.
Sonya Blade was tolerable. Kano was carrying the movie for about 40 minutes. Shang Tsung was.
Steve Harvey, I thought, done pretty good.
He did pretty good, but they could have had a more. This was more of an origin story. If you're familiar with the story, it's a tournament, and they didn't have the tournament in this movie.
That was what disappointed me, because when it was coming on, like the first time coming through, I had to pause 30 times, explain stuff to Cambry, and I was like talking about a big tournament. I was like, it's a video game. Like the video game had a tournament. I'm trying to explain to her about a tournament that's going on. We get to the end and wasn't even a tournament. And she was like, I thought there was a tournament. I said, well,
I was actually okay with that, to be honest with you. But I will say this. I'll say this. I wasn't a huge Mortal Kombat fan growing up. Now, I would play Mortal Kombat, but I would play it when I went to my friends' houses or when my friends came to my house. We'll play Mortal Kombat for a while. But I wasn't a huge Mortal Kombat fan. So it wasn't like it meant that much to me. I did want to see a cool Liu Kang, a cool Sub-Zero, and a cool Scorpion. I did want to see that. And I like Reptile. I always like Reptile.
You got two of the three.
But yeah. But I wasn't a huge Mortal Kombat fan like I was Sonic or Crash Bandicoot, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. So I wasn't that disappointed, I guess, because I wasn't that emotionally invested. But I did. I was entertained by the movie the whole time.
I was entertained. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. Like I thought they underused Goro. They kind of just had him as a side character when he's like a big boss next with, like Goro, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, in that order. So I think they, just kind of used them as a side character. But again, the action scene was fire. The plot was terrible. It was some bad acting in it. But overall, I was really, really like, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the action scenes because the action scenes is what saved it, because Sub-Zero was doing shit I've never seen in a movie. Slicing somebody, turning their blood to ice and stabbing them with it, creating an ice wall, throwing them through it. What I will say, the main character was horrible. I don't understand why they used him and not Liu Kang. It was just he was useless.
I don't think it was horrible, but I didn't understand why they used him instead of Liu Kang. I didn't get that.
Yeah. So
I don't think the kid was horrible though. But
overall, like I said, I was entertained by the movie. But if I'm judging the movie, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. But I mean, I watched it twice. You know, it was enjoyable. It's just something to turn on. You know, not to take too serious. The fatalities was, the
They
fatalities
were
was
good.
tough.
They were
So
good.
I mean,
But I agree with you. You don't get on here taking it all serious and everything like that because you're going to disappoint yourself.
you're gonna disappoint you.
How long are we going to expect greatness out of video game movies, though? It doesn't really happen. Like Sonic I thought Sonic was a really good movie. Sonic may have been the best video game movie I've seen. Like I'm trying to think of great video game movies. They don't make great video. I always wanted them to make a Devil May Cry.
I
But
think they're doing it with Tom Clancy.
I don't know how great we can expect video game movies to be. I don't know if we should take any of them.
Well,
really
let me stop you there.
Tom Clancy, man.
The series, that's what I said. But I think there's more books than games too. When it comes to Tom
that's
Clancy.
true. Those are
But it's
true.
video games as well. So I think they kind of reversed the curse without remorse. But also, The Witcher. I mean, that's a video game adaptation. That's really, really good as a show.
Yeah.
The first Resident Evil.
Bow was that movie? Is it Beowulf or
Beowulf?
Was that not a video game? No, okay.
That's a novel.
That's a novel.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, it's kind of been hit and miss. And like when you get to the sequels, they turn into something completely different. But for the most part,
because they aren't meant to be movies. They're just so popular that it's like, well, we can make the studio some money.
Yeah, I mean,
like not meant to be movies.
Detective Pikachu was straight. You know what I'm
saying? It was good. Yeah, it was. Detective Pikachu was good.
But for the most part, they kind of hit and miss. But I think they figuring it out.
Also been a show for a long time too.
Yeah, I think they figuring it out. So we'll see. Moving forward, how they adapt everything. We got two more topics. One topic I am going to just file up on y'all that I didn't talk to y'all about. So early this week, an episode came out on Red Table Talk. If you don't know what Red Table Talk is, it is a show that Jada Pinkett Smith has with her mother. They call her Gammy and Willow Smith on there sometimes.
All three of them.
And this week on the episode, they had an interesting conversation about polyamory. Willow said that she is in a polyamorous relationship. So I was wondering what you guys thought about polyamory, and could you guys do something like that? I already know the answer to Kendall, but I'm just saying, what do you guys think about polyamory?
The family man can't do that.
I know, but it's just interesting, to hear people's perspective.
But you know what? The older I get, the more I'm starting to understand other people's perspectives on things. Everybody got different things they like, different vices, different things that that they engage in. To me, I don't see anything wrong with it. I've been talking for a long time about I'm not gonna sit here and act like I would be cool with my girl just going out and being with somebody else.
I would, cool with it then.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that. Now, I'm not against just doing you though and being single. I'm not against being single and just doing you, but I don't think I could get down with my girl because at some point in time, ego gonna come in and it just seemed like it'll be a little bit too much for you to handle. After a while, it may be something that seems fun at the beginning, but then when too many emotions and feelings come into play, which is naturally gonna happen, what's gonna happen then? What's the long term effect of this?
Okay, so
it seemed fine at the beginning, but I don't know how it works.
So this is what I got a question. So like you got a lot of different connections.
But I don't knock nobody who I wouldn't knock anybody who do, because I'm all for being single and just doing you anyway. Yeah. So
you got different connections in there. So my question for Kendall is, do you think in a polyamorous relationship or just relationships period, could a person be in love with multiple people?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I feel like head over here in love with multiple people. Not loving somebody, but being in love with multiple people.
Man. That's a tough one. I guess it would depend on it depends on your definition of love to me. And I think there's different types of love. Like, I love you two dudes, but I love my wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love my mom and dad. There's different levels. I love my kids. As a Christian, I'm supposed to love everybody and have, love. Like, so I mean, and this is even like you can even find that stuff like in the Bible and stuff like that. There's different types of love. So
Well, how about in love though? In love is only one type.
Yeah,
it's only one type of in love. I don't know if you can be. I don't know because
I don't know, Rashad. That's a tough one, man. I don't know. I mean, I think
I've been in that situation before, and I think it's possible.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I think he can. I think anything can happen.
Exactly. I think here's my thing with those types of relationships and those types of marriage. I have learned the older I get that you know what, you might, if you're in love head over heels in love with a woman, and she comes to you and says, "Look, things ain't this is what I need to be happy." Who's to say that you ain't gonna give it to her? Who's to say that, and if it's an agreement, open relationships and stuff like that with you and your spouse or your significant other one, that's to each his own, man. There's so many things that make other people happy and it work for other people. Like y'all said, giving me a hard time, like it would never work for me and Lindsay. Never. I'm just like you said, Rashad. You call it my ego, my pride, my love. What I could not share my wife with another man or another woman. Yeah. I just could not. I could not do
it. And I don't even know if it's a pride or ego thing too. It's just you in love with the woman. You can't sit there and she be going off with somebody else and you just be with that.
I want all she's got. I want everything. I want all of her and she wants all of me. Like that's the way we work. That's. But I know. But
I'm all for
friends. I have good friends that I know, and I know people that are in open relationships that are married, legally married, and have kids, and they make it work. They seem to be happy as happy can be when you see them out being, doing the family night and stuff like that.
It's different strokes for different folks. Like some people can do that. I don't knock nobody who chooses to do whatever it is that they want to do, because it's different strokes for different folks. I just don't think that I think it's one of those things that would look really fun at the beginning and probably feel really fun at the beginning, but then what's going to happen when
now from a pleasurable standpoint, from a physical standpoint, I'm sure that's fun.
It's probably really
fun. Let's all be honest and be adults here. I'm sure from a physical sexual standpoint, I mean, I'm sure you're probably having the time of your life or whatever. But at the end of the day, from a relationship, emotional connection standpoint, I think I just don't know how you could. I don't know. I know what I have with my wife, and I know that I couldn't have that in an open relationship or us having multiple partners or stuff like that. I just know the emotional connection we have and the level that we're on. I think it would just take away from that. I don't think it would, I just don't think it would work. I know it wouldn't work, So, but I mean, whatever scratches your itch, man, whatever you're into, man, people are into all sorts of, exactly. And if it works for you and your partner, then hey,
what you think?
Keep on going.
I mean,
Juicy's in that world.
I think it could. I mean, because like,
no, it's a difference between being single and doing than it is being in this situation here. Because this is talking about being in relationship, being in love with multiple people at the same time. This ain't talking about smashing multiple people.
I get that, but you got to find that, and that's the unique thing about that. You got to find that kind of crowd. So, like, I mean, you got. Not saying that I think at one point in time,
if we're all being honest, there has been at one point in time, maybe way back in the day, maybe recently, at one point in time, I think all of us has had feelings for different people, strong.
Yeah.
You know, like, man, which way should I go? I mean, I love this girl. I
That's
love
not
this
in
girl
love,
right here,
though.
but it just ain't gonna work. You know what? But I don't know what I'm saying. It's like, I love her. I love her to death, but dude, she just got so much going on. I can't do it. I can't have a marriage with her. But with this one, I can have a marriage with, and I love her, and I'm gonna make it work with her. I think sometimes that happens.
Well,
Juicy, get your shit off, Juicy.
Well, I mean, like, so in that kind of relationship, you got different. You asking a person to be your everything, and that works for some people. But that kind of pressure of being everything for one person, you got to be the financial provider, you got to be the feelings instructor, you got to be the sexual partner, you got to be all kind of different facets of a relationship. And that kind of relationship, it alleviates some pressures off of it. Well, you might have a sexual connection with this person, you might have a mental connection with this person, you might like going out and having a good time with this person, and you might just vibe talking on the phone, or just I don't know, being in each other's bubble and just being intimate, not even sexually, just enjoying that time with this person. So I mean, it's just like you just extending those responsibilities to different people rather than having them wrapped up in one person. And so it's like
and that's a different world up there.
Hold on. You're getting the best out of every single situation because you don't have the pressure of delivering other departments that you're not strong in. So I mean, I'm not,
we know the rules. Do you think you could be in love with multiple people though?
So we have
dang. We know what the rules of it are. But do you think you could love somebody as intensely as you once loved your ex-wife?
I don't think I'd get that love.
Do you think you could love her and share her being in love with that in love with her at the same?
Because I say that because I think I could be in an open relationship, but now I can't. I think
that's now. I'm talking about 2 years ago when you was
I'm not living that now. I'm not living that now. I'm a different person.
But see, you ain't in love right now, so you don't got the right perspective. You ain't in love right now. So you ain't looking at it right now because you ain't in love.
No, I'm saying if I was in love with somebody, I'm saying I can be in an open relationship, but I can't openly say that I would do polyamory, but it ain't nothing that I won't shoot down. But I could be in an open relationship.
I can honestly say there's no way I could feel the way I feel about my wife, the way I feel about Lindsay, ain't no way I could feel about another woman. And I dang sure know the way I feel about her, I could not share her with somebody else. Now, if I got burnt and we got, if my world got crushed by her, I don't know if I can open up and love anybody else the way that I currently love her.
Yeah,
I'm mad. I mean, that's how I feel about that one. But what I was saying was that who you're talking about, that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, like that they're on a different level from us too. Like that they're into so much other stuff. When you get to that Hollywood superstar, those relationships are not like our relationships down here, man. Even the marriages that are lasting in Hollywood are nothing like the relationships we have there. We have here, because they're exposed to too much. There's so much money. There's a certain circle that they're in. And I think it's completely different than the type of relationships and love that we know.
I agree. I mean,
I think that
the perspective from everybody, you know what I mean? So I'm not mad at it at all.
I also think that though, the richer you are, you get mad kinky. And so it's like, you have done everything. See, girls that we think fine down here ain't fine in Hollywood. like it's two different, it's just levels to it though. And so the richer you are,
Chad, I'm gonna stop you right there. My wife is fine in Hollywood or in Walker County. Okay,
that a boy.
I believe that. I believe that. But I'm also saying that it ain't
Now, I
no
get what you're
it ain't
saying.
no it ain't no '07 Kim Kardashians walking around Door, Alabama either. It
Right.
ain't no Gal
But you
Gadot.
know what I will
It ain't
say?
no
Yeah,
Margot
Rich people
Robbins
get off a
walking
certain
around.
way, man.
you're
They
right.
and they get mad kinky because
They
they
get,
didn't
yeah.
did
They done
everything.
everything. They found a
Yeah,
partner to do
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. They
They
didn't
done
do
ran across a
anything.
female or a
Yeah, I would
male,
say,
whatever they're into.
but
They
They
yeah,
done
get
a lot
they
of
found
get
people,
mad
somebody to do
kinky.
that.
They get
a lot
mad
of
kinky because they
marriages though, a
experienced
lot
a
of
lot.
marriages is. I only know a couple of marriages where I know people being faithful. Kendall being one of them. I know for de facto, Kendall not cheating on his wife. You know, and so like it's only a handful of marriages
Yeah.
where I know it's not
Yeah.
infidelity. So
Yeah.
like to me, it's like just being trustworthy. People gonna do what they do. So if we being, honest with each other, is it
Yeah.
cheating or is it just a different way of viewing things? You get what I'm
I think
saying?
that's a
Like,
different relationship than I'm into. I can't. If they're into that, like I'm with you, man. There's a lot of relationships that I know, man. The older I get, the more it seems like stuff happens. People grow apart, and people kind of accept things for what they are, and they have different partners, and their
even
partners are
even
okay with that.
even that's different though, because in these situations, a lot of people feel like they're stuck or something like that, and they're just
You're
in it
right.
for
Yeah, they
a
can't go out.
specific
They got
reason. But
kids,
these
and
people, but
yeah,
they like Willow and them, like they're choosing to
yeah.
do. So it's still a different
well, they
situation.
just not
It,
necessarily. They're just not lying to themselves. You know what I mean? They don't
and
like.
that's true too.
You know
That
what
is
I'm
true
saying? Like
too,
instead
man.
of cheating, it's like we dealing with
Ha-
this in a different form.
yeah, because how many people I know personally, how many guys that y'all know or women that you know are married, but yet they're unhappy and wish they could tell their partner, hey, I want to try something new. I wish we had an open
And that
relationship.
might
I
save
want to
the
do this.
that might save the relationship. You get what I'm saying?
But a lot of people never are honest and open with their partners about that stuff. I'm lucky that I can be as honest as I can with mine. I mean, like we've had to work through some
Kendall,
tough issues and stuff.
Kendall, I think you just done something that 90 to 95% of marriages don't do, and you found a soulmate. And
You're absolutely right.
you
Yeah,
found a
I
soulmate.
found a soulmate. I didn't find a wife. I
You
found a
did. You
soulmate. You're
found a
right.
soulmate, and a
You're
lot of
right.
people just
Yeah.
find somebody to marry.
Yeah.
You
Ooh,
found a
And a lot of
soulmate.
people
that's a
don't. A lot of
bar.
people get trapped. A lot of people have a kid
But
and
yeah, that's a
think, oh
bar.
well, I gotta marry this person now instead of kind
Some
of dealing
people,
with it and saying, hey, I'm gonna go find the person I was meant for.
Say
it's
hold on,
level.
say that again, Shy, because that is a bar, and I don't want that to go over anybody here.
Yeah, anybody said, yeah.
That Kendall found a soulmate. Most people just find somebody to marry,
Mm.
and it's like people.
Yeah.
I think that people, get married for different reasons. They get married because they may have been in love when they were 20, 21. And it just grew apart. By the time they were 25, they were different people. What do you do now?
Oh yeah.
You're a different person, but
Yeah.
you done slipped up and you done had children. I personally think people put too much pressure on themselves too early in life. And it's too
They
much
do.
to live up to. So by the
They
time
do.
you 25, 26, you done turned into a different person. That other person turned into a different person. Well, what do you do now?
Well, I'm not the
Now
same
you got a
person I
legal
was.
contract.
Like I'm not the same person I was at 25. Lindsay's not the same woman that she was when she was 27 when we did get married. But it's about like a lot of people don't grow together; they grow apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of people aren't meant to grow together.
And you're right. Like a lot.
That's
like,
what, and you weren't meant to be married, but they got married because they fell in
well, a
love
lot
at
of people
19 or
just
20.
find, and I've seen this too. Like you
I
get
know
into
you
a
know.
relationship, and the sex is on fire. Everything's popping. She does exactly what you want. You're doing exactly what she wants, and all of a sudden you're like, I mean, I got to marry this girl. I've
Yeah.
got to lock this down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, as time goes on, kids get added to it, stressful jobs get added to it, the sex dies out, and then you look up and you're married to a stranger. You don't
And
even know who you're married
she's
to.
horrible in those other departments that I mentioned about
Exactly. She
early
don't
in the
cook, she don't
polyamorous
clean,
relationship.
she ain't, yep,
That goes
exactly.
back. That goes back
That
to
goes
you
back to
having
what you
to
were
be
saying.
somebody's everything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to
It's
be
too
built
much
for that.
Very
pressure.
few people. That's the
It's too
difference in
much
a
pressure.
soulmate That's the difference in a soulmate and having a wife or someone to marry, like Shad said. A soulmate is all, it can be all that to that one person. And you are supposed to, when soulmates get together, where she's weak, I'm strong. Where she's strong, I'm weak. Like, you're supposed to do that. And people don't do that. And people are lazy too. They don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to.
Well, the older I get, the more I'm understanding that, more people have big egos than I thought. More people are prideful than I thought. All that stuff hinders you from being able to. All that stuff hinders you when it comes to being able to connect with somebody and being able to go 50-50 or 100-100 with somebody. If you full of ego and you full of pride and you can't ever be wrong, you can't ever be held accountable for anything, all that stuff factors in. And to be honest with you, I'm coming from a male perspective and only a male perspective, but I know it can go either way. Yes, I think a lot of people got pretty girl syndrome. And
what is that?
They find somebody fine and think they got to marry it.
Well, I think what I mean by it is that a lot of really pretty people never have to go through character development because they're so pretty. And so if you marry them because they're really pretty, and then you find out in a little while that there's no character there, then what do? A lot of really pretty people never had to go through character development. They got friends. They got friends because they were pretty. They got boyfriends because they were pretty. They got girlfriends because they were pretty. They got sex because they were pretty. A lot of really pretty people never had to go through character development. And so once you get to a certain point, and well, maybe you've been looking at her being pretty for a long time. What else you got? You know what I mean?
Like, so right before me and Lindsay got married, my dad, who was gonna, he was gonna do the wedding, he had a rule that everybody he married, you had to sit down and he had to counsel you. He wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I remember him sitting across that desk, and we're like sitting there.
I remember.
He said, "Listen, dude, there's gonna come a time where you're gonna be given 100%, and she's gonna be given about 5%. Can you handle that? Then there's going to be a time when you're going to be given maybe 2% and she's going to be given 100%. And there's going to be times when you're both given 10%. Like, you've got to be able to try to give 100% all the time. But life is life. And sometimes you can't give it. It's on those days where if you don't have the soulmate, if you don't have the one you're supposed to be with, after a couple months or years of that right there, the wheels fall off of it.
And that goes back to that pressure, but that pressure can go two ways, because pressure can bust pipes, but pressure can also make diamonds. So in your situation, it's making diamonds. Yeah. But more times than not, that pressure busts those pipes.
Yep.
So
true.
And
the bigger question is the pressure. To allude on what you're saying, the pressure, is that pressure gonna make a diamond for somebody that's not your soulmate? Are you willing to let that pressure make a diamond for somebody that's not a soulmate? Is soulmates really real? Like, I got a lot of questions now that I get older, because I'm like, I look at it now and I'm like, is it a such thing? I don't know. I do think that Kendall found one. Yeah. So I don't know so much. I know that God gives us free will. I don't know if God is playing Cupid the way we thought he was. I don't know if he's doing. I think that God gives us all free will, and we choose who we want. That's why more oftentimes than not, we choose wrong.
Well, I think you do. I think you can. Oh, you can go ahead. You go ahead, Ken.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you
good. Talking about that, my dad has taught me from the time I was small to the day he died. He said there was two types of wills. There was a perfect will and there was a submissive will. Like, God will, after so long, there's a perfect will of God for everybody's life. But as human and as their sin and as people do what they want and make bad decisions, sometimes he goes, okay, look, if you think that's what you want for your life, then I'm going to allow it. But it's not the perfect will, but I'm going to allow that. And I think that's what happens. Sometimes you don't get into that perfect will, And I just, when you said that, that just made me think of something that my father had taught me from a very young age, all the way up to the day, to the day he died.
I think about something. I think about something like, okay, people that marry right in their community, grew up in a small town like we did, married right in their community. You marry somebody that you went to school with. You marry somebody that lived right down the street from you. Okay, looking at it in the grand scheme of things, I believe in God. So out of this entire world, who in the world is to say that God put your soulmate, your one soulmate in the world, right down the street from you? What if your soulmate is on the other side of the globe? Who's to say that God put your one soulmate, he gave you one soulmate in the whole world, and they just so happen to be in the same 10th grade class as you? How? Who's to say that?
But what if, like, what that is true, but what if your soulmate is on the other side of the world and God's like, hey, I want you to go do a mission trip, and you just won't go do it? And he's trying to get you to do a mission trip or trying to get you to do some type of outreach and get outside your community, but you just won't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that too.
Is God expecting too much out of us?
I don't know. That's some very valid points, though, Sean. I agree. I agree.
Like, is it the things we were taught, or is it God gives us all free will and he lets us make the decisions we make? And if
absolutely.
we choose right. If we choose wrong, we choose wrong. The divorce rate is half. So, and then the part that isn't the divorce rate, a lot of them just married to be married. So if you look at 75% of it is wrong. So soulmate or not?
You're right, man.
God's not going to
force you. God's not going to force you to do anything you don't want, and that's why he gives you that will. If you choose right, you choose right. If you choose wrong, thank God we got grace.
Well, I think you got multiple.
Like
you got multiple soul. I think you got multiple soulmates. You can be in love with multiple people. It's just about how you arrive in that situation. If it's meant to be, if it's meant to be. But I believe it's not one person, and that's it for you.
I agree. I agree.
Like, it just don't stop.
Some people get it right the second time.
And also when it goes back to being somebody's everything, it's hard to be somebody's everything. Like Kayla Twilley, shout out to Kayla Twilley. She commented on the Current Climate podcast, page, and she said that she don't think it's somebody that can fulfill all your needs. The person that has to, well, not person, the being that fulfills all your needs, only God can do that.
That's true.
We all imperfect, and you have to believe that. She said you have to be happy with yourself, and someone else isn't there to make you happy. You got to be happy with yourself first. And
I believe
she gave a great dissection. Her and Sierra White. I mean, they gave her and Sierra White. They gave a great outlook on that conversation. So I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Sean, you said something. You said that some people get it right the second time around. My wife was married before we got married.
Yeah.
She kind of fell in that trap of something happened. She felt like she needed to get married because that was supposed to be the right thing to do, and it was going to make everything all right, and it was going to, everything was going to be fine. Everybody's going to grow up and do what they're supposed to, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
so do the pressures of marriage add a lot of unnecessary pressure and strain to us too?
Absolutely, man. You can put way too high of an expectation on your spouse. Like, they're human just like you.
Well, you grow up thinking that this is the way things are supposed to go, and then you jump into something before you were ready, and then boom, you're unhappy and you get divorced, and maybe you find the soulmate on the second time, maybe you don't. Yeah. But the pressures of being married, I think it's just way too
tough, and they're real, man.
And I think that people put way too much pressure on themselves at way too early of an age. You don't got time at 20 years old. You got to be somebody's husband. So now you got to be somebody's everything. You don't even know who you are yet. You don't even know who you are yet. Now you got to be somebody's everything. Now you've got kids. You got to be their everything. Now you got a job. And you got to figure out how to provide for all of these people. You still got to grow up because you're only 20, 21.
And you don't even know who you are at this point.
You don't know who you're going to be in 4 years.
30 years into your life. 35 years into your life and you
Yeah.
still don't even know who you are.
Exactly.
And you're trying to be everything to that person and these little munchkins
You
running around.
You can't grow your own. And not to mention the fact, Kendall, not only do you have all those self-evaluations to make, but you forgetting about the other person. They got to make those same self-evaluations.
But they
might not be ready for that. They got to be somebody's everything. She got to be somebody's wife. She got to be somebody's mama. She's going to grow and be a different person in 4 or 5 years. So not only do you have to make your own self-evaluations, you got to sit back and pray to God somebody else makes their self-evaluations and they line up with yours. Because if they don't, you're still wrong. So even if you get it right, what if they get it wrong? It's a lot of pressure for a 20-year-old. For a 21-year-old,
like,
I think you need to wait to 30.
And I'm gonna tell you, like, nobody wants to communicate with each other anymore. That's like the main problem with a lot of stuff in this world is communication.
Yeah.
Like, I had to like really don't get me wrong. I have a lot of high expectations for Lindsay, as does she for me. But you know, I got tongue tied. She has those same high expectations for me. But at the end of the day, you both have to realize she's flesh and blood and a human just like I'm a human. Yeah. So for me to think, because I know I'm gonna screw up, I know I'm gonna drop the ball, I know I'm gonna mess up. So for me to think, well, I know I'm gonna do all that, I also have to take in consideration she just she's like me too, and she's a mom. She's a great mom. She's having to be this, we're raising teenage sons, about to have a teenage daughter. We have a kindergartner, and she has a job in healthcare that she works, 13 hours every time she goes in. And then my job, it's a lot. And a lot of people aren't ready for that. And they jump into it way too soon. And even if you take your time, even being at 35, man, I still don't have this thing figured out. I'm almost 11 years deep into this marriage and I still don't have it figured out. And it's a part of it. That's what makes it so unique and so special. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, it's something to see. Like, we're learning together. We're growing together. Like, that's what makes what I have with my wife so special and so unique, that
I believe
we're all figuring this. Both of us are figuring this thing out. And we're not perfect parents, we're not perfect spouses, but at the end of the day, like, we're able to look each other in the eye, genuinely say I love you, and genuinely say I'm sorry if it needs to be said. So I mean, but you don't find that. And a lot of times.
And what I will say, because we gotta wrap this up, I love y'all viewpoints, but we got a picture of this pod, and it's definitely a picture of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. The way we just did this pod, right?
Oh yeah. That was good.
Y'all
that
was
was
in
good.
y'all bag.
We pod.
So I want to give y'all props, but we kind of got to wrap it up because we getting on up there.
Yeah, we getting on up there.
As we do, I enjoyed y'all point of views. That's something we got to touch on again in that realm. But before we leave, is it something that you guys want to give to the people, something to watch, something to listen to, all that good shit?
I've been on, me. I watch old stuff. I catch on to things late. When I do, I just get stuck on it for a while. So as you all know, The Office is my favorite show. But right now, I'm hooked on Modern Family, and that's what I'm watching every single day right now is Modern Family. So I take my time with shows. So yeah, I'm on Modern Family right now. So everybody go out and watch Modern Family.
What about you, Kim?
We're gonna get ready for some Marvel. Loki.
Man, what you need to listen to, my boy Jimmy Fedora's new video.
Yes, sir.
But no, if you're a fan of Corday, did I say it right, Juicy?
You did.
Isn't it Corday? Yeah, Corday. I just recently discovered he put out an EP. I might be behind the times. It says 2021.
Nice.
Corday dropped a little EP. Got some good stuff on there. I love it. Love the album he dropped last, couple years ago, The Lost Boys. So, but he dropped that.
He's dope.
If you've got Hulu, watch the series Dave. If you've got Netflix, there's just I don't know, just hit that random button, whatever it pops up. But if you've got Amazon Prime or HBO Max, Mortal Kombat, Amazon Prime, you need to be on Michael B. Jordan. He done a great job. Without Remorse, go check that out.
That's what I'm gonna
You know?
suggest as well is Without Remorse on Amazon Prime. We'll probably do a review on that next week as well. And just something to listen to or watch is, Bigfoot Jimmy, Alias, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Alias with the grip of the
Alias.
Grinch and Vader, grind time. So check out that video. Run It Up is done well, in these past couple of days. So just check that out. Other than that, Nova Trifecta, we out, baby. I will holler at y'all.
Peace.
Shout out to Andy
Y'all next week.
Ruiz on the big win.
Yeah, shout out to Andy Ruiz. We couldn't get into that. We ran out of time, but shout out to Andy Ruiz. Tough fight. Got dropped early,
Props
but
to Ariel.
came back and prevailed. That's me and Kendall Boy. Next week we will be covering the Canelo Alvarez fight. That's something we will lead off with.
Sir.
So yeah, but other than that, shout out to y'all boys. Great pod. Y'all did a great job, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace and love to everybody. Peace and love to everybody out there.